Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi wa kafa. As-salatu was-salamu ala Nabiyyil Mustafa wa ala alihi wa sahbihi hum ahli as-sidqi wal wafa, amma ba'd. In this auspicious occasion of Global Qur'an GALA 3.0, I would like to invite your attention to some kind of exegesis in English, or other languages, or languages other than Arabic, like Japanese, originally written in Japanese but translated into English, and also that falls in the manhaj or methodology of subject-oriented exegesis, yani Tafsir Mawdu'i, written by the Japanese scholar Toshihiko Izutsu. Izutsu holds a central position of translating Qur'an, the first and foremost translation of Qur'an into Japanese. Born and brought up in a Zen Buddhist family, he had an upbringing filled with a kind of Zen philosophy or monotheism. And later, back in 15, he embraced Islam and studied Arabic language, and he had a deep interest in linguistics, as he had proficiency in almost 30 languages, 30 languages, including Persian, Hebrew, Sanskrit, and Arabic, the core languages of Abrahamic religions and other world religions as well. He started his intellectual journey, with a unique scholarship in these languages and a background that provided him with an early sensitivity to mystical philosophy. Actually, his professional life was equally cosmopolitan, as he began his career in Keio University in Japan, and he traveled to McGill, Canada, as to join as assistant professor of Islamic Studies in the Institute of Islamic Studies under University of McGill, and then he joined the Imperial Iranian Academy in Tehran, and this triangular life spanning across the Far East, the West, and the West Asia allowed him to approach the Quran without the historical baggage of European colonialism or the sectarian constraints of other educational systems. As I told, in 1958 he completed the first translation of Quran in Japanese, the first and foremost translation for Quran in Japanese language. But he delved deep into the semantics of Quran, the subject which was quite interesting for him and many of his contemporaries as well. So his focus or the core of speciality lies in semantics, or we can call ethnolinguistics, because he delved deep into the Arabic language, both in pre-Quranic era, yani Jahiliya era, and the Quranic era, and the post-Quranic stage as well. So through this lens of ethnolinguistics, he found many interesting uh, analysis of words that influences the theological and uh, historical aspects of the religion, Islam. And the primary hallmark of Izutsu's uniqueness is his distinction between basic and relational meaning. Actually, traditional scholars often focused on the fixed dictionary definitions of the terms, but Izutsu argued that words are not isolated units. They are atoms that gain power through their position within, a semantic field. For example, the word Allah that existed in pre-Islamic or Jahili times, but its relational meaning was peripheral. In Jahiliya stage, as you know, Qur'an stated in many parts of, in many verses of Qur'an, there were, for Jahili people or Jahili Arabs, they were familiar to the word Allah. But Allah was the superior God among many other gods. So they believed that, we were worshipping Allah along with other, gods. Because ma na'buduhum illa liyuqarribuna ila Allahi zulfa. We actually worship the other gods just to get more closer to Allah. So, but this was in Quranic stage. Quran proclaimed Allah as the one and only God, negating all other, gods like Lata, Uzza, which the Jahili Arabs believed. Similarly, the word taqwa. For them, taqwa was, a self-defensive attitude of living. To defend ourselves from other, way of life or behaviors. So that was, or lifestyles, that was a form of taqwa for them. But Quran presented the word taqwa as the most pious fear of the divine caste semantic and that on the day of the, judgment. So that kind of relational meanings preoccupied in Izutsu's work on Quran or his analysis of Quranic words. And another example, a more interesting example, is the word of karam or kareem. In pre-Quranic stage or Jahiliya period, karam was something related to nobility by birth in a superior family, or by spending more on worldly things, or showing extravaganza. But Quran presented the word taqwa, word karam or kareem, inna akramakum indallahi ataqakum. The most noblest amongst you is the one who has who shows more taqwa, or who is most pious amongst you. So this was quite interesting, or something they would have never dreamed. The pre-Arab Islamic people would have not dreamt in their sleeps. So this is quite interesting, in through the lens of ethnolinguistics analysis of different words or phrases in Quran. So in this way, Izutsu brings many such examples of Quran, words, and the key differences between his way of presenting, tafsir or analysis of Quran from the conventional or traditional scholars, or Western scholars of Islam, we can sum up in three ways. Traditional English translations often, follows the text linearly or, verse by verse. But Izutsu, however, viewed the Quran as a synchronic system, a worldview, whereas all parts of exist simultaneously. And another key difference is empathetic linguistics versus historical criticism. Many 20th century English language scholars, as Sharif rightly said here, were preoccupied with finding the sources of Quran in Judaism or Christian traditions. But Izutsu rejected this borrowing theory from other traditions. He used an empathetic approach of ethnosemantics or ethnolinguistics approach, seeking to understand how the language itself, the language that was persistent in pre-Islamic or pre-Quranic era, fell to the 7th century Arab. So for Izutsu, the word kafir meant not just non-believer, but he rightly translated, or he rightly analyzed that word through the ethno-linguistic lens as an ungrateful person. So this is how he draw key difference between shukr and kufr. Shukr is something that is more grateful to Allah or the Creator. Kufr, as he etymologically viewed that as something covering, or satara in Arabic. Kafara means satara. So he believed that the word kufr is like covering up the ni'mah of Allah and disbelieving Him. So this is how he brings many semantics examples of Quran. And the last one is psychological core. Unlike legalistic commentaries that focus more on do's and don'ts in Quran, Izutsu's work is deeply phenomenological, as I said earlier. He explored the consciousness of Quranic man, showing how the revelation transformed the Arab psychological relationship with the divine. So that kind of transformation he presented through a semantic understanding of various Quranic verses. So in short, let's sum up, his analysis was fourfold. The first is the first one, God as the creator of man. And the second one, God communicates to the human through the medium of revelation. Third, as the subsists a Lord-servant relationship between God and man. And the last one, concept of God as the God of, forgiving for those who shows gratitude or shukr, who are the faithful, and the God of what? For those who reject him in the form of kufr, as I said, like covering up the blessings of Allah, the Creator. So this is how Izutsu's Mawdu'i tafsir sets apart from other tafasir of Quran. And let's discuss more about this in our discussion session, inshallah. Wassalamu alaikum.